Thanks for making the time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here.
I get the impression from the research and everything, lawyer, and you got into this space in like 2018?
So I was an attorney from when did I graduate? 2012 till 2018. My daughter was born 2017. My wife was my law partner. So we owned a law firm together. We had entire top floor of an office building, multiple attorneys, staff members, the whole thing. And the day my daughter was born, the moment my daughter came out, they put her on my wife's chest, and she looks down at our daughter, and she looks up at me and she goes, "I'm not going back to work," which was unfortunate because it was her name on the door. It was her name, and she was the trial attorney. So I guess I'm not an attorney anymore.
Nice.
So I switched over to business consulting. I've been doing business consulting the past 8 years or so. Moved to Las Vegas, joined a consulting firm here in town. I'd say the rest is history, but so much happened in that history that life's incredible. So like I've put on a heavyweight title boxing match. I've been in billionaires clubs. I've worked with customers in 50 different countries, 20 different industries. I've seen businesses raising anywhere from $50,000 to $1 billion, and I've made introductions to investors for all of them. It's just been incredible.
Nice. Very cool.
Now, as for the AI stuff, like that one, when ChatGPT 3 came out, was that 22?
Yeah.
23, somewhere around there? It's been so long at this point, right? Yeah. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, this is the future. Like, we got to do something with this, because if we don't, then... And so I remember sitting there and I'm like, okay, write me 1,000 tweets. I just want to schedule out everything. And like ChatGPT 3 was not capable of doing 1,000 tweets back then.
I remember. We had it right. We had two trying to write, what was it? It was product copy for like a client that was like shampoo, customer CPG style products. It wasn't even coherent sentences back then.
Pretty much, yeah. After about 400, I'm like, these are all the same tweet. What's going on? But I remember like right around then, I was like, since AI is the future, I got to figure out how to use this. So I started seeing like the auto coders, and back when LangChain wasn't even really a thing, that was still being developed. And I'm looking at all this stuff and I'm like, okay, well, I probably should learn how to program or something, because I have no idea what any of this is. I was used to be an attorney, right? Like, not a programmer. But I couldn't figure it out. Best I could do was get it to print screen hello world. And that was it. Like, first lesson, right? Every single time. So been using ChatGPT all those years. And then end of 2024, I was looking at what ChatGPT 4.0 had come out, and it was like really awesome because it was able to do multimodal, right? And Gemini, I think 1.5 Flash was coming out, and they were letting everybody use it for free. And I'm like, this is it. This is my opportunity, because the auto coders are so much better. I'm just going to stick 1.5 Flash in there. I'm going to auto code everything for myself. It's going to be great. And it was an utter disaster. Jeez, it was so bad. But I sat there and I'm like, okay, well, I have to do something with this. I can't just keep sitting on it and pretending like I'm trying. So that's when I learned about, I was a visual builder. I can work with a visual builder, drag and drop, no problem, put some stuff in. And as I'm building these things, I'm starting to realize, man, I'm making stuff that's way nicer than anything I'm finding on YouTube. And it didn't take me long at all to be able to do it. And so I started making my own YouTube content about it, putting it out there. I built my own agentic framework that I call Roger. Just like, why? Because I thought it was funny. And people are like, man, this is like the most advanced agentic framework on the market. I'm like, really? I'm like, okay, cool. So didn't grow my school community as much as I'd wanted to. Hasn't grown my YouTube as much as I wanted to. But, I kept iterating my Roger system, and it kept bringing people in. I kept getting more interviews about it. And then I walked away. I had a business partner come into my life, and he's like, do you want to get involved in like a multi-billion-dollar deal over in this country, another multi-billion-dollar over in this country? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like right up my alley. Let's go ahead and do that. So for 4 months, I was working with him. And at the end of it, I realized this dude's nuts. I can't work with him. So walked away, came back to AI. And at this point, Claude Code had come out. And I'm like, Claude Code. Well, I don't know how to code, but it doesn't sound like I have to, right? So let me try this. All right, maybe this is the auto coder thing I've been looking forward to. And it is, man. Like, have you tried it?
Oh yeah.
Oh my
I
gosh.
dabble.
I've given up everything else. I've changed my sleep schedule in order to make sure that I'm working off hours. I
You can get
haven't.
those extra credits or whatever that they're doing.
No, I don't do any of that. No, no, no.
Oh.
I when it's running, I'm playing World of Warcraft, and every now and then I tell to do something else, and I come back. It works really well for my schedule. I get to work out, spend time with my family, and it's building stuff. It has built more N8N workflows for me because I still use N8N as my back end because
Sure.
at least in my mind, if I ever have to get into that because Claude Code goes down for some reason,
Mm-hmm.
I at least can operate with N8N. I can still use the program I've made. If it's just code, I have no idea
Sure.
what it's saying. Uh, it has made more N8N workflows in the past 2 months than I did all of last year. I think I'm up to like 600 workflows in my entire like command center. It runs my life. It tracks my wife's diet and exercise. It does our groceries for us. It's like I've done it. I've changed everything in 2 months. And
What works? What it like of 600? Because oftentimes you have everyone that talks about like what they do and all the
yeah,
like the poignant kind of piece that I was looking at today. Just I get like a daily digest of just
yep.
a bunch of different stuff to look at. Everything from Google alerts and Reddit threads and stuff like that. Basically, trying
Mm-hmm.
to figure out like there's a lot of noise out there. How do we actually check out the signal? One of them is like, yep, there's a lot of people using it. There's very few that are mentioning that are like getting value out of it, right? Because there's a ton of potential to you can be efficient without being effective, you know.
Absolutely.
So like of 600, what really what worked? What really
So
like had
out of
traction?
that 600 that it's built,
Uh huh.
because like I'll get into like a week where I'm just like, just build this, just build this, just build this. And then the next week I'm like, it's on fire. Everything's broken. Right. Like it didn't actually do anything meaningful. It's broken. So maybe about 40% of it works. And the rest of my time is spent bug fixing. So the number one system that works is my bug reporting bot. So I built it, I have the dashboard and everything. And at the corner of every page, I click this button, it pops up a window and it logs the console for me. I tell it what to do. And then at the end of the day, I just go over to my bug reporting dashboard. I click copy all, go over to Claude Code, paste it in, say fix it all. And usually all the bugs are fixed, but then it either creates a new set of bugs or it uncovers a new set of bugs because I'm able to move further down the system. As far as value goes, that's an interesting question because a lot of the workflows I had built before I started using Claude Code, I still use. So like my Google Maps scraper to be able to find businesses to reach out to, I already had that. So as an integrated part of my system, it still pulls my leads every single day. My CRM fills up every single day. It drafts emails for the ones that it enriches and then decides to reach out to. My question that I'm on is, do my emails sound like me? Do they sound human? Do I want to be sending these out? So I spent a lot of time. I spent like 3 weeks on a branding system that asked me 400 questions that I just sat here and I talked into my microphone and transcribed everything. And then it pulled all the various pieces out of all of my answers. Like, this is how he responds to customers, and this is how he frames his projects, and this is how he does that. And that came out with like 2,000 data points about me. And at the moment, I'm parsing through that. And I do a lot of this by hand because I don't trust the. I've never trusted the AI. Not once.
Why?
And I don't think anybody should, because that's how we get Terminator.
Sure.
But it's interesting because when it hits right, the emails sound beautiful. When it hits wrong, it's like, that wasn't quite right. So I haven't turned on that part of my system just because I want it to be right every time. So I call it my DEF system, DEFT. So it's diet, exercise, fitness tracking. That one works really well. That one is incredible. It tracks all of our calories. My wife and I are on keto, tracks all of our macros. When I go shopping, we have a shopping list. And as I check stuff off my shopping list, I can either scan the barcode of the product that I'm buying, or I take a picture of the nutritional information, adds it right into our database. So that way, when I go and I make a meal, I can create a recipe, pick the items that I purchased from that recipe. It tracks all of the information right there, say how many servings I want. And then that part works perfectly. The business side of it, that's the part I wanted to work. And that's the part that's like, it feels like it's grinding. I want it to work better, but it's not.
Why? Well, because oftentimes, like one of the things that I find is Um, for me and others, as I perceive it, standing up the model is easy to do. The feedback loop and the refinement and the preventative measures is where the actual rubber hits the road, right? It's like, to your point on, I can create a bunch of stuff, but the hardest working thing is the bug fixes, right? Because there's so many different things that can go right and wrong with them, right? So it's easy to say generate code, but it's by definition usually bloated, and getting it to preventatively write efficient code and stuff is a very different kind of exercise, right?
100% agree with you. Yeah, no. Anytime it makes anything for me, the first thing I do is, because I build it in, I tell it, go do a diagnostic run on that workflow, run it end to end, check every single node, make sure the inputs are correct, make sure the outputs of every node are correct. And usually it has to do 2 of those before it actually works. So like I said from the beginning, I don't trust the AI. Like, I've built like 4 or 5 different skills in for different levels of testing. And then, okay, now it's on my dashboard. Great. Still doesn't work. So then it's a matter of, okay, where did it break? How do I fix it? And then that's where my bug reporting thing comes in. So by the end of the day, I've had 60 to 80 new bugs to report. I break it into chunks of 10 to give it to Claude so it doesn't get overwhelmed. It's like a great junior developer, I found, because it's like really gung-ho. It's ready to work. It doesn't always do it right, but...
I've heard people compare it to, like, it's like a junior high student that's taking a quiz. It can't not answer the question, so it absolutely will make stuff up if it means it turns in something that looks filled out. Right?
I haven't found it hallucinate too badly. That's the part I'm very happy about. Is maybe it's just like I'm very good at prompting. Like, I have always really been good at prompting.
So there's 2 different kinds of hallucination. So, like, as an example, one of the systems I was working with, we've been working on AI enabled organization, with one of the premise being like, how do you get a company to basically operate with as few people as possible? And that isn't to say that we're trying to get rid of humans working on the business, but that is to say, like, we're in a very white collar business, and I am very much in a position where I go, I think you'll be doing a very different job than you were doing this year. In 6 months, in 5 years, it won't even be recognizable.
Right.
And to some extent, I don't think it's like, hey, we're just going to not need that task anymore. I just think it'll look very different. And a big part of like we had one where we were standing it up. So we were trying to set up kind of the orchestration layer. So we already have an orchestration layer that we use, but we had, like, right now we're starting to see, just again, a lot of just the demand for governance. Not just did that thing execute, did it execute all the way? What are the KPIs of the execution? GitHub pull requests and stuff like that. And again, one of the things that I noticed is it fixed, and it had like 500 tickets in it. It did address and write and create a bunch of stuff, but it didn't actually close the pull requests on GitHub that were tied to the other issues. So it wrote a lot of stuff, but it like didn't actually execute and push them all the way through prod. So kind of one of those where I'm like, it didn't hallucinate, but it didn't tell me the truth when it said that thing was fully resolved and completed, because it didn't make it to the customer.
That happens all the time. Like, why did you do this? You're absolutely right. I completely invented that thing.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I always take these things so small, step by step. I don't let it just, okay, well, here's what I want, go do it. I don't trust it that way. But the point that you were making, that the task is going to look different, that's how I have viewed AI from the very beginning. These are task completion programs that we're developing, and that's all they are. It's not an integrated system, because if you're trying to build an integrated system, you're gonna fry yourself trying to figure out how to do that. The way I see it is it's either top down or bottom up. So and you have to do both at the same time. You have to build your orchestration layer while you have stuff for it to orchestrate. And if you don't have enough, then it's just spinning in circles, not doing anything.
Yeah.
And if you don't have enough tools, then your orchestration layer has nothing to do, and it's just sitting there. And that's always the balance I've been in while building my agentic systems. Is if I have the most beautiful orchestration layer, it's wonderful. It handles all 6 tools I have, but it doesn't do anything, right? So then I spend all this time building tools. But when you build all these tools that each handle a task, and that's how I build it, each workflow handles a task.
Yeah.
Well, if I don't have a proper schema, an input-output schema, or a proper logging system, or a proper naming convention, or a proper everything else on top of it, then I'm building in the woods, and you don't know where it is the next time you go looking for it, right? And it's just this tug and pull between trying to focus on building the overall system and then the individual things I need to have and get them to work in that system.
Agreed. Did I hear you correctly that say you start in N8N?
At the moment, I started in N8N. And
but like when you're coming up with a new workflow, you start in N8N? You don't?
No, I start in Claude. So I'll have an idea of what I want to build, and
Gotcha.
I'll think through like the various avenues. I still think through like the logic of if this, then that, or if this breaks, then what should happen. And I type all that into my prompt, and then I let it plan it, and then I spend 3, 4, 8, 10 iterations of the plan, just tweaking things. Say, change this. This should analyze this instead, until it's something that I'm happy with, and then I let it run, and then it never works. Right? Then we have to bug fix it for 2-3 days, and then it works somewhat because it broke when I made this other thing. That's the part that drives me nuts. Is when I build another thing, my dashboard loses like 5 pages somehow. Where did the pages go? Where'd my links go?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how to fix that. I've tried creating like standard templates, but then it just, I don't know, having different users on my platform as I'm still testing this. And when my wife adds something, it doesn't show up for me, even though it's supposed to. And it's like, man, I'm not a developer. I never thought I was going to be a developer, but I think anybody could be a developer if they're willing to put up with this pain.
Yeah. Well, it is. I mean, I would definitely agree. I'm not a developer. I'm a product manager.
Yeah.
But I do know how to write a little bit of code, and I have taken and done some classwork on like object-oriented programming. So I'd like to understand the abstract architecture of how things work and compile and stuff like that. Like with my kid and stuff, where we're at our house, we're fascinated with engineering of all kinds, right? Just anything. If you're writing code, cool. If you're building stuff, whether it's electronics or whatever. And it is one where I'm like, I don't think I want him to learn to code. I want him to know how to write and understand software, but I don't think he's not going to be debugging syntax, like when was the last time you did spell check on yourself? Like it's one of these things where I'm like, dude, I barely type anymore. My fingers don't really touch keyboards. So it's one of those where I'm going, all right, what am I going to teach him? And a lot of it is like the opposite ends of the spectrum of he needs to be able to like change the oil on a car. Yeah. And he also needs to be able to program an AI assistant, right? Like basically.
But even that point you just made, changing the oil on the car, like, are we seeing a shift toward electric cars? What's the point of changing the oil on your car?
I think we're going to change the oil on the car because I think it's important to fundamentally understand the basic building blocks of what the more complex machine does and understand how to actually fix the existing ones we have. Because while oil on the car, I think you're actually going to see a lot more of the oil. Well, one, we're going to see fewer EVs.
Well, yeah, Tesla just stopped making them, didn't they?
Yeah, right. And I happen to be one of those people that likes like vintage stuff, so I
got you.
Car in the garage.
That's where it's at. Like if you're gonna get a car, get an old car.
We got a couple old cool cars, so that type of thing where I'm going, all right, this is how this works. And also,
there's only 6 parts in the car at that point, though. Like got the engine, the carburetor, like that's about it.
Yep. So he's learning them for that reason. And it's weird because he actually does has like they can build pretty sophisticated understandings of how machine works, but still not like spell, You're going, you'd think they chronologically would have to come in the opposite order. No, not the case.
Speaking of children, that's another system that works for me is my daughter's school bot. we homeschool our daughter. And so I built a bot, almost a year ago. I built the first version of it that just generated questions and then the answers. And then the next version generated the lesson plan that went with the questions. And then the answers we'd be able to run through an analysis agent that then match it to a answer key and then grade her automatically. And so we just improved it some more. And so now it generates pictures for any concepts that she needs, and it grades it with a little bit more, we'll say, kindness than the first one did.
Yeah.
The first one is like, you have one letter off, full mark down. Like, she's in 4th grade. Let's give her a little slack here. But like, I mean, how much longer are we going to have schools in the way we have schooling? Like,
I very significantly wonder about that one. I mean, I've definitely said, like, unless you need some sort of certificate, like you're a doctor, a medical doctor or something. Sure. Other than that, what's largely the point, because to your point, personalized tutor probably going to do a way better job. And like actually, they love the voice agents. So like the really quick transcript back and forth kind of thing. I have found is a fantastic. Like they talk to the robot on my phone. Where I'll be like, "Hey, explain samurais to this kid," and then hand him the phone, and then they go have a conversation.
I still make her write everything by hand and look it up in the dictionary. For the same reason you make him change the oil, right? So you got to understand a little bit of how the fundamentals work to be able to do the bigger stuff.
I sent him to the neighbor's house the other day using a compass. I'm like, they live southeast of here. Go. Here's the compass. So
handed my daughter a protractor this morning.
Nice. See, you gotta get the first principles and understanding down, right? So, and also just the grit and understanding how to get your hands literally dirty, I think, is the other one. It's like, you need to kind of know both. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I've had a few brands through the years. I'm passionate about all of them.
Right.
And it just so happens that automations, processes, and systems are the thing that everybody needs before AI to even be able to handle AI.
Yeah.
Nothing changed on my end as far as what I do for businesses, other than it's much easier for me to get them a solution once they have those systems and processes in place.
What do they need? What does that system look like? I have this come up all the time.
It's all tasks.
We'll find out like
most businesses just need tasks. Small little things like there was a marketing company that was working with Google Merchant Center, and Google Merchant Center will perform better if you have the color and age group of the product that you're selling. So for e-commerce businesses. And when you have a business who never filled that information in, but they got 5,000 products, it's going to take you 2 weeks to get through that list if you're doing it by hand. So I set up an automation using N8N. It took 6 hours. So simple things like that. Now they're able to run it once a month. It saves them a couple hours for that one little thing. And so it's just, what are the tasks that you perform in your business? How do you handle them by hand? And then what can you do to automate it? If you can figure those 3 steps out, then you can automate pretty much anything.
Nice. How do you get them to, do they know what those are?
They never know what they are. That's where the coaching comes in. I don't work with big businesses, thankfully. Mid-sized businesses, small businesses, it's always the same. It's like, I want to use AI. I want to automate everything. Smarter. Okay, let's. What do you do?
Just so you know, I get the same blank stares from big companies. So
okay.
It's one of those where like you find different problems, but you find the same levels of thinking. So that is very common. What do you do? They just blank stare. It's like,
Walk me through an average day of what you do. I did that with a client once, and he's like, to go talk to my staff members, find out what they do so we can figure out how to improve what we're doing. I sat down with his front desk guy, who did back office work, but he was the front desk guy. And I spent 2 days with this guy. And in that 2 days, I realized he literally did nothing. He sat there and just kind of pretended that he was moving stuff around. So I went to the owner. I'm like, hey, this guy's literally doing nothing. Oh, no. He has an integral part of this business. He's handling, like, no, he really isn't, though. You need to check this. So 3 months later, he kept the guy for 3 more months. And then one day he's like, I decided to sit down with him, see what he was doing. I realized he wasn't doing anything. Like, you don't say.
I actually do that a bunch with, I've done it with my team. But eventually we will have the conversation where I'm like, how much actual productivity do you have per day? And usually the answer is around 3 or 4 hours. It's like, I can actually get about 3-4 hours done. It's like, that's work.
Was it George Carlin who made that joke? Nobody works in that first half hour when they sit down at work.
Oh yeah. The number, I used to work like when I was in college, I worked at a Discover Card doing balance transfers. And we found out like the number one time where people like paid bills and whatever is when they got to work on Monday morning. So the first thing they did until 10 a.m., that's when everybody's bills would get like, they'd call up and pay them over the phone. That's when everything got done.
Okay.
It was going like, first thing they do when they get to work Monday is not work. It's like, you'd think it'd be the busiest time of the week. Nope.
I once worked in an office. I'm not going to name names, but this was fun seeing this. There was an attorney in this office. It wasn't my office, but there was an attorney in the office. He would get to work. He would get his coffee. He'd set it on his coffee warmer. He'd get his newspaper, put his legs up on the desk, and he would sit there until 3 o'clock in the afternoon reading that newspaper. every single day. I don't know how he pulled it off. I'm like, how did you not finish the newspaper faster than that? Just sit there the whole day. Maybe get up, go talk to someone in another office. But then that last hour, he'd actually look at his messages, take notes for what he was going to handle tomorrow. And then so, even professionals get away with it somehow. And automation is going to wipe out so many of these people. Like I'm so afraid of what's going to happen for like business writ large. Because
so you bring up attorneys. They're one that I worry about and wonder about probably the most, where I just go, half the job's built on research and researching precedent. Two things of which like LLMs are really good at, it's like, hey, look, if all I'm doing is trying to basically look up a similar case with a similar answer and then point to it, like that's easy. That's probably one of the easiest things for that technology. What do you like when you kind of coming from that profession and knowing about your current profession? What's your take on lawyers?
So if I was still licensed attorneys are not allowed to disparage the practice of law.
Oh, really?
All right. Yeah, they're not allowed to. So if you ever talk to someone who's a licensed attorney, they're not allowed to say anything bad about being an attorney.
Interesting.
Okay. But I'm not licensed anymore, so I can say whatever I want. I retired. They have a monopoly on who's allowed to practice law. And so every state has their own Supreme Court that says at the moment, well, the AI is not allowed to practice law. And they're never going to let go of that reign because they want people to have jobs. They're never, ever going to let go of it, even though you can go to, like, I did this a few weeks ago. Just went to Gemini, said, hey, Gemini, do some research for me, find all the case law related to this issue that I have. It found the case law, and then I went and double checked because I don't trust the AI.
Sure.
And it was right on every count. ChatGPT was wrong on pretty much every quote ChatGPT came up with. Like, I went and looked for the quote. It does not exist. Okay. But if you double check that it actually exists on the link that it gives you and it's there, then go ahead and use it. It solved my legal issue for me. I didn't have to spend the hours reading case laws, looking up the statutes. It found it all. So attorneys are going to be out of a job. I think accountants are going to be out of a job. Most white collar is going to be out of a job just because guys like me are trying to find ways to automate it as quick as we can. And I'm doing it for myself. And as soon as it is working for myself, it will work for anybody else.
Yeah. How do you keep up? You ever laid awake in bed at night going like, I don't know what my work looks like in 2 months. Like there's new models every day. There's new tech every day. There's a new fanciest, shiniest, whatever. And then you find out that wasn't even real 2 weeks later, right?
If you go back about 6 months to a year, and you'll look for podcasts where I'm on. And if everybody asks me, oh, where do you see this all going to be in 6 months to a year? I said, I don't see myself making end-to-end workflows in about 6 months. I think the computer is going to be able to do it. It's just going to automatically make all these workflows for me. All I have to do is type it in. And then a year from that, who knows what's going to happen? And we're still in that, who knows what's going to happen a year from now. So, Tesla is now focusing on robots. Everybody's focusing on robots. I've been saying the whole time, as soon as the robots take the plumber's job, everybody's out of a job. I think I'm starting to come to the realization, if I'm going to be prognosticating into what's going to happen, humans are going to do human jobs, and human jobs are interhuman communications, interpersonal communications. That's what we're going to be doing from now on. We're not actually going to be doing the work.
Good. I like that answer. Challenge with that is like you're talking about your branding system earlier, where a lot of it, like to some extent, you don't necessarily have to do the most personal type of thing simultaneously, because what you're trying to do, my opinion on this, but what you're trying to do is package the authenticity. Because what I think people want to do is scale the relationship, scale the number of relationships I can have. Social media, like back in the day, we did kind of an analysis for some social stuff to find out that there's kind of a mental barrier for the most part on someone's brain that they can only handle about, depends, Dunbar principle, between 150 and 200 relationships. Yep. They can remember that many people. Social media, and this is like 2017-ish or whatever, but like between your Facebook friends and stuff like that, we found out that the average person at that point had about 1,200 contacts. And again, like they allow you to scale. You don't have to remember every single person in every single context because you can pull up Facebook or whatever else and look into them now. And I think it's one of those things where you're going, all right, how do we actually scale that? Simultaneously, We like, do you watch like YouTube? I'll see ads that clearly have fake AI influencer avatar people where I'm just going like, well, part of it is they're trying to fake is they don't have to fool everybody, but they're trying to just fool most people or even half people, right? They're just going, oh, I can still kind of get away with that. And the weird thing that I find too is, but as soon as you point it out to someone and now they know what to look for, they get mad. They prefer it. But then once they realize they've been hoodwinked, they're pissed. So I think it is one of those where it's like you almost find out that the third rail is like, hey, I will let you scale that effort to a point, but if I'm going to give you my time, I want you to burn some of your time, right? Like there's some weird karmic kind of tit for tat that needs to take place.
So this is such a fascinating topic to discuss, because if you look back in history, not even all that far ago, when emails became a thing, remember, oh, it's a novelty, we're getting an email. But then it became, oh, well, they sent me an email. Why didn't they just send me a letter? They could have just sent me a letter.
Yeah.
More personal. Like that's more how we are supposed to do this. It's just so impersonal to send an email, whatever. So like here we are saying the same thing about these AI systems where 5 years from now, everyone's using it. We're going to look back on us talking about this and be like, oh, well, it's just a transition phase.
Well, I wonder if there like is a bypass on it where pretty soon you have like the AI avatar for almost everybody. And so that the avatar, the digital twin, the agent, the personal agent or whatever, I have a Dan bot. And like, so if I'm in a meeting or whatever else, people will talk to Dan bot and half the time they're like, Dan bot's better than you at your job. But if they know they're talking to a Dan bot, they're very much okay with it. So theoretically, if you and I both had one and I send Dan bot to go talk to Brad bot, those two can have a conversation and come back to each of us. And then it's okay that it was fully automated, which at that point I go, we're almost getting to a zero interface relationship. I never wrote an email. You never responded to an email, but we each had our representatives do some work on our behalf. And
so that goes into like legal ethics as well, if you're going to consider it, because so if you and I are conversing and I screw up 1% of the time, I can be held liable for that 1%, right? But if our bots are conversing and each of them has a 1% that they're breaking, because they're going to, there's no way to get these things perfect. There just is. Like we talked about that at the beginning, right? Everything has bugs. And they're conversing and they enter into an agreement between the two of us that, 2 years from now, it's now somehow legally binding. Like who's technically at fault? How do we figure this part out? If I build my Brad bot and you build your Dan bot and they engage with each other and there's a contract dispute, how do we handle anything like that? Like those are the kinds of things I think about. But Mark Zuckerberg, I saw an article, he's building his digital twin to handle all his meetings as well. So like we're in good company.
Oh, I do it. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm an idiot, but deliberately trying to replace myself. Very much so.
It's been my goal from day one. Yeah, I hear you.
Every single day I go, nope, like every day it needs to do 1% more of my job. And my job is to literally kind of work myself onto the sideline and then hopefully do more valuable things with my day. But like largely, I go, I could have someone else do it, but I'd kind of prefer to actually be in charge of that.
See, the part that slowed me down with my building is not the building part. The building happens so fast. It's not the bug fixing. The bug fixing happens pretty quick too. We just have to find them. It's the fact that I actually still have human work I have to do. And I'm like, I don't want to do it anymore. I just don't want to have to do the work anymore. Just build a bot to fix it for me.
I did notice a couple times, like in the last week or two, like the things that became the bottlenecks were just because they required a human and they weren't even that hard. But like, it's like, hey, this will take 2 hours. And that was like, oh, hell no. People are just like, I will not touch. I'm like, dude, it's 2 hours of work. Go ahead. But permissions based stuff, right? Where you have to like go and create authentications and stuff like that. And it's like, not going to get done.
I got to go figure out how to do this. Do I need to look up the documentation? Hey, ChatGPT, look up the documentation for me and tell me how to do this.
Yeah, that is one where I was realizing like I'm up against not a blocker that's difficult or anything else. It's just literally that it's human hands-on work. That's now the blocker to the human.
See, I see these studies coming out saying that people who are heavy AI users, I don't know if it's the IQ or if it's their intelligence levels are dropping. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it. I think people who are truly just using the AI may be handling or experiencing that because they don't actually have to think through stuff anymore. They're just acting. But I think people who are building stuff like us, I bet
Mhm.
our intelligence is going up because we have to be thinking through the logic gates of how to get this to work.
I do. I will say, like I was talking to someone today, like very close kind of friend and partner of our company who's like gone through the iterations of like what we were building 10 years ago and then what we were building even 6 months ago. And like, again, it's getting faster and faster and faster and higher. And one of those were like, exponential curves in terms of productivity on a lot of stuff. I'm just going, I was very, very scared of it a while ago, and it's a hell of a lot funner right now. It is more critical thinking. It's way less drudgery because, again, like product manager stuff, I live in between kind of like developing prototypes, trying to figure out how to like extract value, but the strategy type of side of like thinking through. I love chess and stuff like that, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
you have to keep multiple thoughts simultaneously in your brain and figure out how to satisfy and while dealing with three different risks from three different vectors, right?
That's exactly it, man. I never thought I was going to love building these pieces of software as much as I do because it's something I'd never done before, right? But I remember when I first got into it and I was working with N8N, I was literally about a month in, literally dreaming in JSON, like these stacking, ever never ending files, and I was like waking up in cold sweats thinking of JSON, and it was like this horrible experience. But then as I was getting into it, it really did feel like it was chess. It felt like it's figuring out a Sudoku puzzle. So here's like the four things I get to start with, and I just got to figure out the one thing that'll unlock it all. And I still see that. I think that's what the programming really is now because we don't have to code it anymore. It's the AI, and if it screws up, it figures out how to fix it until it works, and then it's a matter of bug fixing. And bug fixing is just a logical error.
Yeah. I always hated the terminal. I could never like the software dev part, the bug tracking and fixing to figure out that you had a semicolon instead of a colon and stuff like that drove me nuts. I was just like, I spent 3 hours looking for that. But I do like it. It is very cool to see like vision and stuff come to life, like as fast as you can basically think of it, right? Where you go like, even right now when we go like, hey, yeah, we're troubleshooting and building new features and it took more than an hour. I'm like, what were you doing? It took more than an hour. It's like we should be looking at prototypes and testing them in an hour. And like a month ago, that would have been like, yeah, that's a week. That's 2 weeks, like a year ago, that was a month, I do love that premise. That stuff's the fun part. That is the stuff that I'm very excited to be alive on. And finding out just how much of your day was drudgery, where you're just going, yeah, a ton of this stuff was you're dealing with like the rotary phone. Remember when you used to go to someone's house and they had a rotary phone? You almost even disliked them because they had like a zero or something. And you had to deal with the phone call that had a zero. And just the amount of time it took just to even spin the rotary phone from zero was like 10 seconds just to dial one digit. Killing me.
But, we look back on that, we think, oh, it was so quaint back then, but that's how people lived. And so 5 years from now, they're going to look back on today and be like, oh, how quaint. We're like, but that's how we lived.
Yeah.
How is this next generation going to know how to do anything? It's such an open question of how are they going to do anything because every year, oh, that got automated away. That got automated away. Like what's there to do?
What's your hypothesis? You have a fourth grader. What's the hypothesis?
I'm going to tell her to get in finance because you always make money trading money.
Yeah, now I want to hear about the trading bot again because that's one where I always think it's one of those where I just thinking about how they work. Well, by the way, my answer to this, I try to trick my kid all the time. I play a lot of pranks on him because I want him to have, and I want him to not necessarily trust anyone or anything. Like he takes everything with a skeptical eye. One of his early words, like is a 3 or 4 year old skeptical.
That's good.
He would call people out on it, and critical thinking and fallacies, right? Basically being able to spot faulty reasoning where it's well intended but still incorrect.
You got to teach that to the general population.
Well, I think in terms of like damage to the world, fallacies and fallacious thinking is probably the bigger problem than like bad actors by a long shot. So whenever I remember we were doing there's an AI project that we were trying to work on for a university like almost 9 or 10 years ago. And they were trying to figure out like the greatest good. And my submission was I I want an AI that can spot faulty reasoning that isn't intended, right? Just someone who just didn't realize it was a slippery slope argument or non sequitur or correlation versus causation type stuff. I'm going, I want that bot that just goes, hey, heads up. Someone made a mistake here. They've inferred the wrong kind of conclusion, and here's why that's a logical fallacy. It's like, boom, that's what I want.
Well, did they infer it, or did somebody imply it? Well, you got to check on that too.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know, maybe I need to build that thing now, because like there was some of those where like at the time it was hard. I could probably whip it up in not even an afternoon right now.
Right.
That after this.
It's so wonderful. You have an idea. Like I'll go on a walk with my wife and we'll take a recorder with us now, and we didn't used to do that. And every time we have an idea, like as soon as I get home, I take the recorder, I plug it in. All right, by afternoon, it's done.
And dig it. That's actually a nifty little test. Maybe I'll test that today. There's a handful of those where you're going, I should have built that thing. When you're working with other companies and you're implementing, you said you do a lot of shadowing, basically figuring out what the pain point is. How much of the time is spent in, like, is it largely just surrounding, like, I do services, we set it up, set it and forget it? Do they pay you to monitor them?
I can do all of the above. So it depends on what the client wants to do. I'm very laissez-faire when it comes to that. If they want to pay me every month to manage it, it means more work for me. And it's not necessarily something I can truly automate because I do have to put eyes on it from time to time.
Yeah.
So yes, I spend most of my time shadowing or asking questions or having calls. A lot of it is Zoom because I do business around the world. It's not just here in Vegas where I live. Mm-hmm. And it's, I'd say 80 to 90% of my time is actually having to talk to somebody to figure out what they want. Mm-hmm. And then Claude whips it up, whether it's, building a website for them or the backend that they're going to need or the specific task tool that they need. I debug it for a day or have Claude debug it for a day. I don't really touch it. And then I deploy it for them. And if they want me to check it, I can check it. I set up, bug tracking to make sure it's not breaking. If it breaks, I'll go through for the first week or two, handle it. It ultimately depends on how extensive we're talking about. I'm not sure how to price this stuff anymore because to me, it's so simple, right? Mm-hmm. Like what I'm doing today, 6 months ago, if you had asked me to do it, that's a $50,000 job. Easy. Mm-hmm. Today, give me two days, $5,000, happy to do it. Mm-hmm. And that's because I have to compete with people who are charging that much.
I agree. That is one of those things where you're like, software, traditionally like SaaS margins, they're upper double digits, right? They're going like, ridiculously good margins. Like, yeah, but it's a complete race to the bottom. So as soon as you stop investing in your research and your development process, you're irrelevant. I was laying awake one night just going like, all right, what does my job look like? Really trying to answer that question. I want to figure out and try to do the 5 and 10 year plan. Am I building towards things right now? Harder than it used to be, right? Like, again, the chess thing where I'm going like multiple simultaneous vectors. What is the move right now? Maybe I figured it. I think I have an idea of what it is. Finding and figuring that, a big part of that was just dealing with that continuous race to the bottom. You're just like, everything that everyone sells right now is going to be 1/10 the price in less than a year. And again, same kind of problem with most of my clients. What do they pay us to do? And a big part of that being, if I don't innovate on the product, I'll disappear. And I don't know, thinking about it, I couldn't find anyone else that was safe. Well, I did find some, but ChatGPT, Claude, we'll switch from them any minute. There's remember the Tom from MySpace?
Yep.
And like everyone knew Tom, and then all of a sudden no one knew anything about MySpace, and its value just seemed to disappear overnight.
It's gone.
Right? I'm just going, they're no safer than any of us are. Remember, like the OpenAI did the autonomous military stuff, and all of a sudden Claude and Anthropic, or I can't remember what the metric is, but massive, it's worth 10 times as much 2-3 months later. And you're going, yeah, but they're no safer, right? So like they may be sitting on a pile of cash at the moment, but they are no safer, right?
So one thing to remember, because I have to remind myself of this all the time, because I get so into the AI world, is that there is an adoption curve that applies to the general population. And we're still at the very beginning of that adoption curve. It has not even started really to go up.
Agreed.
And so, I've got coaching clients who have no interest in using AI. because I've had them for a long time. Like they don't really understand it. They might use ChatGPT to write an email still. That's the extent of what they're willing to talk about because that's what they understand. And anything beyond that, oh, that's just too techie. It's just
don't tell them that, by the way. I learned that the hard way. I was adoption curve. I was like, oh yeah, but like a ton of our clients will literally pay us. So they'll be like, you touch the AI for me, you make it work. And then I'll pay you so we can meet up and you can just tell me that it's not broken. No, they don't say that, but that's what they're effectively asking us to do. Cause we go, hey, it's literally 10 times more if you need us to maintain it for you. Like, just do it yourself. And they're like, no, I don't want to log in. You're like, all right. And they're like, yeah, I'll pay you 10 times as much. So I don't have to log in. It's like, all right.
There you go. But there's what I'm saying is there's still lots of opportunity there. You say everything's going to be 1/10 the price a year from now. Yes, if you're competing in the markets who are aware of all of that.
Yeah.
But there's still be a huge amount of people who aren't even aware these tools exist.
It's interesting because like when I was coming up in product management, we studied adoption curves and we always said never target the laggards and the latest adopters because they're the most price sensitive and they usually don't buy anything unless there's no other option. But I just realized you actually went, hey, this is a really good time to go target the late adopters. Yeah. They have the most staying power over time. So, what do you follow? Where's like when you go through and you're looking for kind of like inspiration, who are the smartest tech minds and things that are informative when you're trying to go, all right, what does this world look like 6 months and a year from now?
So I follow, NVIDIA, whatever they put out, anything they put out. So anytime Jensen's on stage, I watch that. Yeah. But otherwise, I just let my Reddit algorithm guide me to whatever is the latest thing I should be caring about. A 4-hour work week, I read it years ago. I don't really try to go looking for stuff. It comes to me.
Sure. What was your logic on setting up your Reddit thing? I like Reddit. I think Reddit's one of the more important.
I ban communities that I don't have any interest in looking at. And that's how I get it to sort. So if I find for some reason it's only showing me comic book stuff, I'm like, I clicked on one thing and it led to nothing but comic book stuff. Okay, well, show me less of that, less of that, less of that. And that's, just my general interest lead me to the content. So I'm always aware of the latest and greatest new GitHub repo that came out for how to update Claude code, just because I'm looking at Claude code stuff. So I don't really deal with it too much. I let it guide me in a way.
Nice. I do like Reddit. I do think that's where the most interesting, for me, that's where the most interesting ideas live, regardless of the person that posted them.
See, now you got to be careful. My theory is that the vast majority, 80 to 90% plus of Reddit posts are actually bots.
I think there was one that went out and it was in one of the chat GPT subreddits or whatever. And it had one of
those. On this, like it's a picture, right? Like that one?
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw that too. Don't comment. We're going to ban everybody who comments on this post.
There's a lot of comments. I agree. Well, and I'm also to the point too, where I think anyone who writes like more than a 3-line response or comment to anything is probably a bot at this point. I'm like, if there's punctuation, it's probably a bot.
There's punctuation. It's a bot, right? My wife was commenting on that yesterday, like, oh, the M dash, which is a legitimate character that, I have a few published books. I had editors for my published books. They would put M dashes in those books because it was the proper punctuation to have in that particular sentence. Oh, it's AI generated now.
I love it. One just final question for you, because I always like to ask, where do people go? What do they do? But if you were going and you were talking to everybody, our audiences oftentimes they're jumping in, they're doing toe in the water type of stuff. They're wading into the deep end on this stuff. They're trying to get their companies in order. But knowing like service clients and things like that, companies that are trying to kind of build the foundation to get started, what would you actually kind of recommend they do? If you were starting over, knowing what you know, what would you do first, second, and third?
I would probably do it exactly the way I did it. Start with N8N. I think being able to see it in the low code visual builder way, where it's not really coding. It's not really coding, where you just kind of think through, how do I actually do this task, and then string it together. And then think through, well, what if this doesn't happen here? Oh, right. The client sometimes forgets to include this variable. Okay, have a branch for an if, and then you have that section. Think through it that way, because I don't think going straight to Claude Code is a good idea. I really don't. I think you're going to end up with a bunch of stuff that looks pretty but doesn't work.
Yeah.
If you can, and that's, me being a business coach, like I always start with systems and processes and how do you actually do your job. And if you can't tell me that, then you can't tell the AI that. So I would start, if you're going to do it yourself, start in N8N. That way you can play with it, see it actually work, see it actually working. And if you can't get it working, then you don't know your own processes.
Yeah. I do wholeheartedly agree. I appreciate it. You're fun to talk to, easy to talk to. Where can people find you?
BradfordCarlton.com, Bradford Carlton on YouTube, Bradford Carlton on Facebook. I'm pretty much the only one who's going to show up.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. Thanks, Brad. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon.